I'll do the first part of this talk, and then Thomas will continue on the second one. So it's about the missing scripts project. I'm in 2004 with some fellow colleagues. I founded the Institut Designlabor Gutenberg at our Hochschule Mainz in Germany. In the same year, I started a research project called Decoding Unicode about the Unicode standard. The first thing we did in 2004, I presume everybody is familiar with Unicode on this conference, poster with each and every character. The first edition was in 2004, and we did a second edition in 2007. In 2011, Siri Puarangang and I published a book about all these characters of Unicode. So in this book, there are 109,000 characters. On the code charts on the right side, you see all these, all the glyphs. And it was composed out of 66 different fonts because there is no font covering all Unicode yet. In 2014, we published a Japanese edition. And in the same year, as some kind of sideline project, we published a digital cuneiform font and published a book to show all the characters. And it's kind of interesting for us as graphic designers and typographers that you have these glyphs there, and cuneiform, as far as we know, is the oldest writing system, of course. And even now, 5,300 years later, we still can see that these are pictographs or ideographs, pictographs for objects like knee, star, city, and the eye. You can go to our website, decodeunicode.org, where you find 130,000 glyphs. And the slider on the top was designed by Jérôme Knebusch, and he did a reference glyph for every Unicode block. And of course, there's a difference between a Unicode block and a writing system. So every year, this is a list of all the Unicode updates, and every year there are more characters, so there are more scripts covered. And this year we come to 154 scripts covered by Unicode. So you can imagine when you're working on all these fonts and glyphs and updates, at one point you ask yourself, how many writing systems are there? How many are missing? So we asked Dr. Deborah Anderson from the Script Encoding Initiative, UC Berkeley, and on her website, she writes over 100 scripts are still not yet encoded in Unicode. And you should go to this website of the Script Encoding Initiative. She maintains a list of all these missing scripts. So I asked her at the time, so how many are there exactly missing? And she asked all her colleagues, I presume you know that since 2002, she is working on Unicode proposals. So she asked all her colleagues around the globe about how many scripts are there. And after some months, she came up with this number, 292 writing systems. At the time, there were 146 scripts encoded. So if you do the math, it's exactly half of the time. So Unicode took 27 years to encode half of the scripts of mankind. So that was the starting point for our initiative of these three institutions. The Atelier National de Recherche Typographique. You will have Thomas in some minutes to talk about it in depth. the Institute in Mainz, and the Script Encoding Initiative of Deborah Anderson in Berkeley. So since 2016, we're working together on these so-called, we call them missing scripts. And we did another calculation. Unicode has a pace of like, in average, 4 scripts a year. There are new scripts. Continue with this path. It will take till the year 2044 to have all scripts encoded. We hope, of course, that it will be a little bit earlier. The first thing we did is to design a poster in 2018. And the concept for this poster was to have a reference glyph for each writing system. So, of course, for the Latin, you could have the A stands for a sound, but it could stand for the writing system in general, like the omega for the Greek writing system. So we choose, if the writing system is an alphabet, we choose the letter A, like here Osmania letter Aleph. If it's a syllabary, we choose the letter K, like it is a custom for Indic scripts like Devanagari. And if it's ideographic, pictographic script, we choose a part of the human body. There are, of course, some scripts not yet deciphered. In total, there are 7 scripts not yet deciphered. We should put much more research to these scripts. For Chinese, we choose the letter for eternity. And there is a color code on this poster. It is printed with 4 colors and as a silk screen printing. And the code is we devised between historical and living scripts on one side and the not yet encoded and the already encoded in Unicode. So here you see some of these glyphs. On the left, perhaps it's visible in a zoom, there is a timeline that you can see. We start on top left with the oldest one, as far as we know, it's proto-cuneiform. And these glyphs were drawn by Morgan Pearson and Arthur Francetta, 2 students of RNT. The last script on our list is called Luo from Africa. We heard in the talk earlier that there could be more. Luo was invented in 2009 in Africa, and I'm sure there are more to come. So here's the overview of the first edition of the poster. So you can see with the color code, which are already encoded. And there are still living scripts not yet encoded, so we can't use them on our computer or smartphones. Then we did a website. You can go to worldwritingsystems.org, and there you can you can sort them by time, by region, so that you can see all African scripts at a glance, or by name. Of course, this is sorted by one script, by Latin alphabet. You can sort them by Unicode version, and you can sort them by status, which is our distinction between living and historical scripts. If you click on one of these glyphs, you will have some more information and links, for example, to the English Wikipedia about the script. Then last year, we did the first exhibition of our project at the Museum of Contemporary Art called West in The Hague, the Netherlands. And there we focused on the proposals, Unicode proposals. I presume you are familiar that you have to write a proposal to the Unicode consortium to get your script into Unicode. And for us, it's quite funny to see that there are so many proposals from scripts not yet encoded. And we thought it was a nice idea. These proposals exist sometimes for many years. And the idea was for the exhibition to print out all these proposals to show the scope of what's still to be done for Unicode and the people working on this. This is a small part of the exhibition, and you see the proposals printing out and the reference glyphs for all these missing scripts. And then there are some drawings from artist Ilka Helmig, and this is a visualization of the pronunciation of a sound. And this is the sound P. If you want to know more, you can look at this small booklet. You can see it at the Museum West in the Netherlands. And inside you will see some information in general about Unicode and encoding stuff, like, for example, Alan Kay and his Dynabook, which is quite funny and interesting that he and his colleagues invented the graphical user interface in the 1970s, and the first idea for a handheld computer, and this is in 1972. Imagine this is 12 years before the first Macintosh, and this is 38 years before the first iPad. And just to conclude my part, we did a second edition for the poster. Because there were some changes, of course, science is evolving and there are new Unicode versions. So last year there were 4 new scripts encoded into Unicode. So on our poster they will change color so that people will understand they are now part of Unicode. But there were some mistakes too. On the first version we had the Vedic as mentioned as a script, because we thought at the time, 2018, it was a script because there's a Unicode block called Vedic extension. But in fact, it's not a script, it's an extension to an Indic script, so we left it out. And there was another correction concerning Chinese. It's not that simple. Of course, Chinese, you could see it's a continuum of many, many scripts for thousands of years. But if you want to devise them in different scripts, at the time, in 2018, we thought we could devise them in 5 different scripts. But we learned that Old Hansi is not a script on its own, but in fact, it's like an umbrella term for these 3 other scripts. So this year, let's say from a typographic point of view, we think you could devise Chinese into 4 scripts. There are 3 historical ones, and there is 1 living, of course, in Chinese. So we did these corrections for the new poster, for the new edition of the poster. And of course, this for next year, things can change in research because, for example, there are 23 so-called elements on our list where there are some people saying these they could be considered as scripts, but there is a debate in the scientific community. So for now, we leave them out. So, but perhaps for the future, there is more evidence and we will add them, of course. So that's why Dr. Deborah Anderson put this text on the poster. This presentation should be seen as a snapshot of the state of research in November 2019. So the poster is a state of research of 2019. So over to Thomas.
I think you have to quit your shared screen.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay. Okay. Is it okay for you? Yeah. Hello, thank you for having me. I'm Thomas Huot-Marchand. I'm the director of ANRT. ANRT is a, let me just that in up this way. ANRT, the former name, sorry, of ANRT was ANCT. It was created in 1985 at the Imprimerie Nationale in Paris. At the time, French typographic industry collapsed. This is why the Atelier was created, to relaunch the French typographic scene. The Imprimerie Nationale still exists today. It is a large company which still holds in Douai its historic collections. These collections host a large number of non-Latin types, or so-called non-Latin types. The oldest species are the famous Grec du Roi, 1300 punches cut by Claude Garamond. These are some of the 353 punches of Arabe d'Avicenne, cut by Robert Grandjean in the late 16th century. And the amazing Buis du Régent, probably one of the most spectacular pieces of the collection. 86,000 wood types cut by hand at 40-point size. 20 years after Champollion, a hieroglyphic typeface was cut at the Imprimerie Nationale, including more than 3,000 glyphs.
I think you should go to full screen.
I'm not in full screen. Okay, sorry. Is it okay this way? Or not? Because it's on full screen by me, but I don't know if it's okay for you. Just let me know. It's okay?
No, it's not in full screen, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Perhaps I can, yeah, doesn't matter.
Okay.
Anyway, okay, I'm going on. It's okay for you? Yeah, well. Sorry. As I said in the beginning, ENRT was created at the Imprimerie Nationale back in '85. After a closure of 6 years, it reopened in 2012 with a new team and a new scientific project. ENRT is a postgraduate research course. We are running several research programs initiated by the students or in partnerships with laboratories in many different fields. Our goal is to investigate new paths in typography, questioning the role of type design in the field of digital humanities. Some of you may have seen the talk of Morgane Pearson yesterday about this project we are running with the Bibliothèque Nationale de France. Scholars often face typographic issues for the transcriptions of their work. In this case, we are working with the National Library in Paris to develop a typeface for all monetary coins. In this case, scholars are building an ontology of letter shapes, pointing to regular Unicode code points. They call ontographs the reference character and allographs its variants. After a first phase, based on Merovingian coins, we are finishing an extension of the fonts for a second corpus of ending coins. It includes pre-alphabetic scripts with, again, many variants. But let's get back to the missing script project. Johannes explained how the representative glyph for each script were chosen. The type design work was central and raised many questions. Our sources for each script was very different and the shapes very diverse. We chose a monolinear approach with the goal to be as close as possible to the ductus. No serif-like details, a medium weight, and a low contrast. We are aware that with this approach, we could lose some information, but the intention here was to focus on the basic structure and see all the writing systems of the word in the same way. Deborah Anderson in Berkeley is working in collaboration with experts from all over the world. They provide accurate historical and linguistic descriptions about the script. Nevertheless, the quality of the documentation varies significantly. Further research is often required to form a better understanding of the ductus and the drawing. So we face different levels of complexity in drawing the glyphs. Here you can see some of the more simple cases. where we had pretty good sources. Here are some examples of poor quality sources where the role of interpretation was significant. And to finish, most complex signs are seemingly pictograms which we had to harmonize with all other glyphs to be able to compare them. Experts worldwide provided very helpful feedbacks on the design of the typeface. The goal is to be as faithful as possible. It's a work in progress, and we keep improving the design constantly. So there are two complementary fonts. The decode block doc to represent the writing system which are encoded, and the missing scripts which represent, of course, the writing systems not yet encoded. But we also develop complete typefaces for missing scripts. The first one is the Paleo-Hispanic, a set of writing systems created in the north of Spain before the Latin alphabet. A group of researchers from the University of Barcelona is working on the Unicode proposal and asked us to design a complete typeface for it. Arthur Fonchetta did it 3 years ago. This is a transcription of a Paleo-Hispanic inscription and its typographic interpretation. According to the UTC, the Paleo-Hispanic script should be encoded in Unicode 14. The fonts are ready. Emilio Ora designed a typeface for the AFACA script, a syllabary of 56 letters created in 1910 for the Ndjuka language, an English-based Creole of Suriname. This script appeared the same year as the Halley comet, which the script is named after its inventor, Afaka Atumisi. It continues to be used to write Ndjuka today. Parimal Parmar, type designer from India, is developing at ANRT today a typeface for Sharada, an alpha syllabary that appeared 17 centuries ago in Kashmir. He's also designing a Latin companion for it, using the same tool, a broad-nib pen. Since 2015, Pierre Fournier is working on a typeface for Egyptian hieroglyphs in partnerships with the Université de Montpellier. He started a PhD there in Egyptology, studying the history of typographic transcription for ancient Egyptian and designing an original typeface for the Labex Archimede. This is, for instance, the Bentresh stela, a monument from the late period, the Ptolemaic period, and a typographic transcription of it. This is an example of text composed with the Imprimerie Nationale Mitchell typeface. It is an extract of this Bentresh stela. This typeface is pretty original because it's black. The silhouettes are filled and not in contours. Pierre Fournier chose to apply this design for the digital fonts, but improve the design and the legibility of it. Even more complex, Alexandre Bassi started 8 months ago a research project on Mayan hieroglyphs. As you may know, there are very few sources. Only 4 codices remain. The main source is using is the Dresden Codex. This is the original manuscript, its interpretation, and the typographic glyph. There are the different categories of glyphs in Maya. UTC, the Unicode Technical Consortium, is working on the encoding of Mayan hieroglyphs. One last example, the Elemaik script, designed last year by the same and now famous Morgan Pearson. It's an abjad derived from Aramaic. Elemaik was encoded in Unicode 12, and Morgan's fonts were ready soon after. Google then ask Morgan to design an LMAIC version of Noto. You may know this project of a full Unicode font. It's open source, and it's a great opportunity to share our work on these missing, or in this case, newly encoded scripts. Integrating the script in computing is not only about encoding characters and designing fonts. It's also about shaping keyboards, implementation, operating system, and so on. A long journey through unexplored typographic territories. Thank you so much. Dankeschön.
Thank you very much for this very interesting and beautiful presentation. Waiting for questions by the audience. I have 2 questions of my own. The first one is technical. You have chosen monolinear, so single stroke width font, and many of these glyphs will have to appear in several sizes together. So have you thought of using OpenType font variations to be able to change the stroke width?
Yeah, it could be done actually. This monolinear approach was applied only for the poster, you know, to have a kind of homogeneous style, to see the differences, to spot the differences between the writing systems. But when we are designing fonts for a given writing system, of course, this information of contrast and the effect of the tools are considered, and we are not always working with this sans serif style, of course. And clearly, OpenType variation allow us now to apply a kind of variation of strokes, stroke contrast as variations. Yeah, it's possible.
And my second question is methodological. Unicode is known to be very unflexible. So once something is encoded, it's not changed anymore, per vitam aeternam.
Yeah.
And you are doing glyphs, so there is research involved, and you are doing many glyphs, so there is a lot of research which will be going on for the following years and decades. So are you willing to update your font often whenever there are new findings and corrections asked?
Yeah, yeah. We even would say we invite the research community to contact us if you have more evidence of other forms. But of course, it's if it's with less contrast, there could be just one reference glyph for a script.
And just a word about every font we publish with ANRT. Most of them will be published soon. For the PIM project we saw yesterday, or for some missing scripts fonts. All of the fonts will be released under SIL OFL license. So it's open source and allow people to update it themselves, and we will keep track of it, of course, because it's to be shared with the community. So the more feedback we get, it's for the best.
Thank you. I have a comment by Ben Young.
I saw a question of Ben Young in the chat about the 4 new scripts encoded in Unicode 13. Actually, we are already working on some of them, yeah.
Great, thank you. No, I'm a regular Unicode participant, and I just want to say that we at Unicode we absolutely love your projects.
Thank you so much.
I actually have one of the posters, so
I
think I have a 1.0. Now I want a 2.0. But anyways, yeah, I just want to tell you that it's absolutely wonderful. I'm really happy that you're getting this out there. It's, you know, like we do a lot of work on this stuff, and we don't see a lot of you know, like response necessarily right away. So it's nice to, you know, have someone being kind of our cheerleader. And the only other thing I was going to say was, do you have any plans on also open sourcing the website? Because I mean, like I could totally do a pull request or something like that to try to get some of the data updated for Unicode 13, for example.
Mm.
So.
Actually, our project, maybe you can answer, Johannes. We want to open a third website, actually. Yeah.
We want to open another website, you said?
Yeah, dedicated to the missing script project.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
and
it will be a kind of a GitHub repo, but yeah, with Johannes design. But yeah, to share as much as possible the information on the work in progress.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Well, like I said, I love the project. Thank you very much. So.
Thank you. And gʁafematik Unicode encoded in Unicode 13 is on its way. So it's
Great.
a good news.
Glad to hear. I'll tell Anshu. He'll be happy.
Yeah.
Perhaps the question for the update on Unicode 13, we could just say we have still some copies of the second edition left of the poster, and it's very simple. When it's sold out, we will print the next edition.
Okay.
Yeah.
We
probably will print a poster each year, at least for each update of Unicode. The 14 is announced for September 2021, a bit delayed.
Yeah, 14 was pushed back due to COVID, so
yeah.
You guys have a little extra time.
Yeah. It was the best.
So, again, thanks so much, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you very much, Thomas and Johannes.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Anis.
Yeah.
See you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.